Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Magic Formula Portfolio series. Last episode, I made a pretty significant change in that I really went for much more of a textbook approach with just buying the Magic Formula stocks and then holding them for the long term, not doing the cycling that I was doing before where I was rebalancing every month. Or I wasn't rebalancing, but I was removing those stocks that fell off the list and then adding new ones that came onto the list. So there was a lot of churn going on through that process. But anything that was still on the list, I just let run and I wasn't rebalancing. That was until last month where I did do a full rebalance and I decided to stick with the 30 stocks that were on the list at that time. And I'm going to run with these for a year and see what the performance is like. And so far in this first month of holding the 30 stocks, or really it's 28 here in M1 Finance, we can take a look at the spreadsheet that I have over in the description if you want to take a look at some of the data I've collected over these previous few months. I've been doing this for about half a year now. When I was doing the cycling, I showed what stocks were added and removed by highlighting them. You can check out the tabs at the bottom. But if we look at September, which is when I made the shift, this is the portfolio that I have. But if we come on over here to the first tab, this is the portfolio I'm running with right now, minus these ones that are flagged as NA, not on M1. So there's a few stocks in there that I do not have because they aren't available on M1 Finance, which is the brokerage I'm using. If you want to use M1 Finance yourself, I do have an affiliate link in the description and would very much appreciate it if you use that when you open up your free M1 Finance account. If you fund that account, I might get a small commission. And in any event, I definitely recommend checking it out because it is really nice brokerage. It's free to use, like I said, so you can take a look at some of the features and the interface and see if you like it. It's not the best brokerage for everyone. It's good for especially longer term investors, not good for traders. But anyways, I have a full tutorial series on M1 Finance if you're curious and want to learn more, or if you just want to go ahead and check it out for yourself, check out that affiliate link in the description below. But if we go on down to the bottom, the tab that's marked as September 2021, this is when I made that official shift into just keeping the stocks where they're at and not cycling stocks in and out of the Magic Formula portfolio, at least for a little while. I went ahead and marked the September 27th price right here so that we kind of can collect some data to see if you started the Magic Formula portfolio on that day. Let's just see what would happen if it runs, because if we go ahead and look at my portfolio, the data is a little bit thrown off because I have multiple months before this where I was cycling stocks and not every holding was equally weighted to start. So I tried to make it as equal as possible, but this would be looking at if it really was equally weighted right from the get-go, minus those few holdings that aren't on M1. And so far we had about a negative 3.5% gain on the month if you were just to have started on the 27th of September. And we're now October 27th, 1 month later. So I'm going to leave this running. This updates in real time. If you want to check out this spreadsheet, it's again linked in the description below. This is automatically updating with the current share price for each stock. So we can see kind of what's happening in real time with this snapshot of the Magic Formula portfolio, because it changes from month to month. If you were to start the Magic Formula portfolio next month or this month, it's probably going to look different than this one by a good bit, because if we go to magicformulainvesting.com, there is a good amount of churn in this portfolio. And I guess that was one of the big takeaways I had from this experiment over the last 6 months or so. And there really was quite a bit of churn. I wasn't really sure what to expect exactly, but there was quite a bit of active management in cycling stocks in and out. And that is recorded here on this spreadsheet. So anyways, that's what's going on with the spreadsheet. If you want to take a look at that, this first month was not very good, but with the new strategy of just holding, but that really wouldn't have made a difference anyways, because I wouldn't have rebalanced or taken any stocks out and added new ones in until today or yesterday. So really nothing really to say there. And if we go ahead and take a look at the initial portfolio, I did the same sort of thing. The hypothetical, if you just held this portfolio and didn't touch it from the very first thing I did in March of 2021, what would have happened? And I have the initial share price here, and then the current share price now, and the average would actually be about a negative 1.5% return, which is pretty bad. This doesn't include dividends, so it'd probably be closer to zero because some of these stocks do throw off dividends, but this is just looking at capital appreciation. It is down pretty significantly over 6 months during a time period where the market in general has done quite well. The markets in general have done quite well for quite a while now, well over these last 6 months. Month to month, things can change, but over the last 6 months, you would have liked to see this be positive. But Magic Formula is really a contrarian strategy, like all value investing. And that's what the Magic Formula is trying to do, is trying to mimic a sort of fire and forget approach to value investing, where you're getting stocks at a discount to what their intrinsic value might be. Or in this case, you're trying to get a cheap basket of decent companies by looking at return on invested capital, that's the quality metric, and then the earnings yield, which is the cheapness metric. But going back to the portfolio, I'm not really sure what to do next. Now that I've decided to just kind of let these run, this next year, I'd say, is more of a data year. I'm not trying to make this a massive portion of my portfolio till I kind of see how this portfolio runs. Where are the outsized returns coming from? Are they coming from one or two stocks? Are they coming from the whole portfolio? Well, how does this thing really work in action? So I kind of want to just sit and let this run. But in the meantime, I'm still going to be adding money to this account. Since it is a retirement account, I get a tax write-off for adding money to this in this year. So I'd want to keep adding some money to this now while I have a decently high tax bill because of my W-2 job. And it's not really in a tax efficient place such as real estate in the US, where you can get a lot of write-offs. When it's coming from your W-2, you got to really work for those write-offs, comparatively speaking, in most cases. Whereas if it's through a business, there are a lot more opportunities for write-offs. That's just my personal experience. Yours might be very different. Talk with a tax professional in any event. But I want to figure out what to do with this remaining money and the new money that's going to be coming in. I add about $500 per month to this. That's $6,000 per year. And I'm thinking about doing something alongside this Magic Formula portfolio, and that would be potentially the acquirer's multiple portfolio, which is really the ultimate sort of rebuttal to the Magic Formula that really argues that earnings yield is really the only thing you should look at. You shouldn't even look at return on invested capital, partly because that fluctuates so much. You should just go for cheapness and then hold forever. And then you're going to have a ton of losers, but you're ideally going to have a few really great outsized winners. That would pull the portfolio forward. So if you guys want to see that, definitely let me know, and I'll look more into the Acquirer's Multiple. And that's As Made Famous by Toby Carlisle in his book, Acquirer's Multiple. I've not actually read the whole book. I've just really seen excerpts and I understand the basic premise, but I would be interested in diving more into that strategy, especially now that I've been running with the Magic Formula for a little while, just kind of see how it works, and maybe having a sort of comparison test alongside it. If you guys want to see that, definitely let me know. And I might also add another sort of benchmark with just a regular old index fund like the S&P 500, maybe even doing something like a quote unquote value index fund, which might look at a particular metric or two in formulating its own sort of index of value stocks, or what it calls value stocks. Just having a few benchmarks in here to kind of see what works and what doesn't, and collect some data over a significant amount of time. Since looking month to month doesn't help a whole lot, you really want to get a big picture, and that's kind of the purpose of me doing this series. It wasn't to see, can the Magic Formula make you rich in 2 months? I didn't expect that, but I wanted to see kind of what would happen over half a year, what's kind of working, where the return's coming from, where are they not coming from, where are the losses coming from, and kind of make some judgments from there for a longer term strategy using the Magic Formula, assuming I even use it for the very long term. But in any event, I do want to let this money run for quite some time to see what happens. I think one thing I will do in the future, now that I'm collecting some more significant data, is seeing what would happen if you removed particular sectors from the Magic Formula and how different the returns would be. The most notable one being pharmaceutical stocks, since that's such a huge portion, the plurality really, of the portfolio. And I wonder what would happen if you removed all pharma stocks. Would that hurt or help the return, at least over this sample size that I have? And I want to see what would happen if you played with certain aspects of the Magic Formula portfolio. We had that episode a while back with Brad Kellner where he talked about how he has this very tailored approach to the Magic Formula, and that's worked very well for him. So I wonder if there'd be a pretty formulaic approach to doing it, because another overarching goal of this portfolio is that it should be pretty passive. At least that was my goal with it, and I think that's a goal with a lot of people. It's a very passive approach to value investing. That is the main appeal, and then of course the real main appeal is that you can create outsized returns compared to the market. That's the appeal to any sort of strategy that's not just using indexes. But I definitely want to hear your suggestions for as to what I should do next with this Magic Formula portfolio. Not necessarily with the portfolio itself, but what do you want to see with the data I have now? How should I manipulate this to see if we can create a different outsized return compared to just buying and holding the whole basket of 30 stocks? Is there a better way to tailor the Magic Formula portfolio with the data that we have? Definitely let me know what you guys want to see. I'll definitely be doing some work over the next month or two in kind of seeing what we can work with now. The whole point is to explore the strategy in greater detail and see how it works in today's day and age. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. So if you like this video, please like it since that would help the channel out a lot. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on new episodes of the series, I put out a new episode every single month. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon while you're at it so you don't miss any notifications for new videos that I put out on the channel. But until next time, take care.